Welcome to the 30th meeting of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. When addressing the commission, please remember to state and spell your name clearly and to speak into the microphone. We have some minutes to approve. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Chair. Motion to approve the regular minutes of the 21st and the 24th meetings and the regular and executive session minutes of the 9th and the 23rd meetings as previously circulated. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 21st and 24th meetings of the regular and executive sessions and minutes of the 9th and 23rd and executive session meetings of the 9th and 23rd meetings. As previously circulated, any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion is carried. Okay, calling agenda item number 1, application number 24-0103-891 from Los Garcias Mexican Restaurant LLC.
In the record, reflect Wayne Lucas, counsel for applicant. To my right is Kaylee Garcia. She is the member. Basically the owner of the premises. We have no changes to the investigator's report. We have been on a temporary license. We are on our second temporary license. And in response to Commissioner Hollinger, they have been monitoring the outside street. They have a host that's watching. They have the person serving, and the bartender, can view from where that bartender is.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Arai.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Right, is there anyone who would like to testify for or against this application? Seeing none, commissioners?
I have no questions. Motion to approve application number 24-03891. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 24-03891. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The application.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 2, application number 25-00066 from Bamboo Tiger Shop.
Hi, Nicholas Wong, manager, Bamboo Tech Shop, NICOLASWONG.
Ms. Arai.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
All right, is there anyone who would like to testify for or against this application? Seeing none, commissioners, questions?
I have none. Motion to approve application number 25-00066. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 25-00066. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The application is approved.
All right, thank you.
Calling agenda item number 3, application number 25-01608 from 808 Rise Court.
Hello, I'm Ben Marmoto, authorized agent for 808 Rise Court, BEN MARUMOTO. We have no changes to our submission and report.
Do you want to walk us through your event?
Yep, this is the 3rd time we're doing this event. We did it twice last year. Worked out really well. I know Vice Chair Dillon's going to already mention this, but yes, we do have the blessing of Windward Mall and Kamehameha Schools to not tow anybody that night, or they can't drive. Also, King Intermediate, we're trolleying people in, which is like a 3-minute trolley. I'm also in touch with Principal Ojimi there, and she will be okay with that as well. Other than that, there's 15,000 square foot beer garden. One thing I did make, I know on the map it doesn't have the entrance. You're going to ask me for able to upload this, but I'll show the one entrance there. Sorry, it's in black and white, but I can upload it to.
I mean, what you probably would want to do is, if, as this goes by, if you get approved this, I'll make sure we have an updated floor plan to the administration for when the event happens.
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
The only thing is the marked entrance, but yes, I'll upload that.
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, okay.
I have no other questions.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Thank you for checking with those places because obviously, as we do have these things, right, we don't want people to be forced
Yes,
in some way to have to drive if they're unable to. That's safer for everyone.
I agree.
Any questions? I don't have that.
None.
Motion to approve application number 25-01608.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 25-01608. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The application is approved.
Oh, you need that back.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Calling agenda item number 4, application number 25-01678 from Kauai Sports Unlimited.
Good afternoon, Chairman of the Commission for the issue of authorization of the applicant.
Walk us through your event.
Basically, this is a benefit for the Kauai Sports Unlimited. It's the location is an area where numerous events have been held before, so with Bob's Sports Bar. There's a pending application, at least for shop is there right now. Basically, it's gonna extend into the parking lot area. Security will be present, obviously. IDs will be checked. There will be under 21 available in attendance, but everybody over the age of 21 will be banded, and security be on premise again, watching, making sure that liquor consumption is done by only those who are of the legal age.
So the banding is gonna be done when they enter or when they go to the bar?
When they enter,
That's my only question.
Just for clarification. The underage ones are banded or?
no, only the ones 21 and over.
Okay.
No question. Sorry, Commissioner. Discrepancy there.
Motion to approve application number 25-01678.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 25-01678. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The application is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 5, applications number 25-01687-1 to 25-01687-30 SG Hospitality.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, Keith Kiyuchi for the applicant. Well, thank investigator Sato for getting this on the agenda, and we have no corrections or additions to the investigator's report.
Commissioners, any questions?
No, I don't have it. Motion to approve application number 25-01687-1 through 25-01687-30 inclusively.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve applications number 25-01687-1 to 25-01687-30 inclusive. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The application.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 6, application number 24-02351, Ichika LLC.
With respect to agenda item number 6, counsel for the applicant requests rescheduling to the March 6th meeting as she is unable to attend. Today, no action by commission required.
Okay. Calling agenda item number 7, application number 24-00929, YK Song. Perfect timing. Best of it. Aha, in and out.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Let me catch my breath here. Okay, James Lee representing YK and Song Inc., DBA Wipeout Market. Seated to my right is Michael Yu, current owner and president. As you might have noticed, we are here today because there was obviously there was an officer change, and it was not reported to the Liquor Commission as prior. So normally the father who passed away recently, at the time the officer change took place, the father was running things and doing things, admin and etc. But he would normally rely on his CPA for annual renewal and all that. So the father thought it was all done, and apparently somewhere along the line, miscommunication took place, and the CPA's office dropped the ball. So here we are today, and it's a parent to son transfer, and mother, father, they're pretty old, so they had to kind of get phased out. Sorry, Michael Yu.
Yeah,
You-
Michael, you.
Last name W-Y-U. So
Okay.
we would very much like to ask the commission to please I don't know, we pray that that this commission will allow the transfer to go through and maybe issue a letter of reprimand or something to that effect.
So I do believe that the situation in regards to whether or not that things were turned in timely to the Liquor Commission will be dealt with in a adjudication hearing in the future. We're
Okay,
here basically to either go through this licensing investigative report and approve the transfer. That's basically
Correct.
what we're here to do.
okay.
So my first question and my only question will be, currently, every name and everything is correct that's with the Liquor Commission, correct now?
Yes,
Okay. I have no other questions than that. That's the only question. Motion to approve application number 24.00929.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 24-00929. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The application is approved.
thank you very much. Have a good day.
And calling agenda item number 8. Request number 25-00685 from Kahuku Beer Garden. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Christian House, Kristianhouse.
So what's the increase is the little floor now? Yeah. Floor area.
So the same type of railings that you've used on all the other outdoor areas is what you're using in this same spot?
Yes.
I have no other questions. Motion to approve request number 25-00685. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve request number 25-00685. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The request is approved.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 9, request number 25-01691, Kahala Senior Living Community Inc.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Mr. Rai, Robert Uyoka on behalf of Kahala Nui. This is a request for a casino type entertainment. We did previously get an approval, administrative approval of card games, bridge, gin, crazy eights, and other types of games. This is kind of the last one. We're just trying to close it off. It is being processed as a casino type entertainment rather than a game device. There will be no risk of anything of value, amusement purposes only, no minors present. And this is just a small scale. I think it's like a bunch of 6 senior members that just get together, and it's more a social event. But yeah, like I said, no risk of anything of value, amusement only, and they'll be monitoring as usual by Colony staff.
Any questions?
So this isn't really for the attorney, but so administratively, you guys are able to approve up to three?
Well, 3 types of casino games, so that's blackjack, craps, and roulette.
Okay,
So this one is unusual in that, I mean, typically the requests for casino entertainment are specific to an event such as a fundraiser.
okay,
So this one is a little different because it's apparently asking for approval on an ongoing basis.
ongoing basis. Okay.
But yes, normally we would blackjack, we would approve it. But there are certain kinds of representations in the actual form with respect to the gambling prohibition and
Okay.
so on and so forth.
Okay.
This is just another game that they play other than bridge, gin, and crazy eights.
Yeah, no, I think the reason I'm asking is more in the sense of in the future with very similar type of events. If we want to look at saying that administratively, we can allow that to happen versus needing to come in front of us based on just the fact that you're saying you approve it if it's individual days, but because it's on an ongoing basis. There
Well, this
isn't,
is the first time this type of request has been made.
yeah, so that's, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So. I mean,
And so it's just 6 people playing, one person, then they rotate the deal.
Really small,
Oh,
just a
okay.
bunch of friends, senior members in Honolulu. It's a club license, so you can't invite anybody outside, and it's limited.
Question.
Can't get it.
So if this is a fundraising, how does this, is there a buy-in or something?
It's not a fundraising,
fundraising,
they're just
they're just playing
friends.
for
Yeah,
fun.
it's amusement.
they're just paying for
friends.
fun.
Okay. I mistake, I saw specific fundraising events.
Well, that's how the request is typically made, and we process many of those over the course of a year. Because it's a popular draw for fundraising events,
Okay.
but there's similar prohibitions with respect to you can't pay to play. I mean, there's all kinds of rules. Some licensees prohibit the placement of any kind of wallet or handbag on the table.
Mm,
They restrict alcohol. I mean, there's all kinds of guardrails that they put up. But this is before you because this is for an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, okay, so I'm not against if it gets approved, right? I'm just trying to figure a better way or an easier way. If other businesses or, clubs want to do something like this, where they don't need to worry about coming to a meeting, but I don't know how we'll address that. I guess we got to think about that. So,
Probably parking lot that.
yeah, figure it out at some point. Okay,
Good one.
so any other questions?
No questions.
Motion to approve request number 25-01692.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve request number 25-01692. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The request is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There is a procedure by which additional items can be put on the list of delegated authority to approve without a hearing. It would typically be a place on the agenda, but why don't you think about it before you tell us to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All of these card games all over the place. Okay, calling request number 25-01666 from Roshan Sato.
Hey, good afternoon, Chair, members, Commissioner Gurjin, authorization on behalf of the requesting party. Shop is 808, pretty straightforward. They like a waiver so that they can file a request for temporary license as well as a permanent license for the premises. It'll be the same type of operation. We frankly speaking, from knowledge of the place, it's in need of upgrades as far as, and they're willing to do that and really make it look good, but not nicer than it is right now. So we really ask that you take this into consideration in drafting the request.
So the place that was there, how long ago did they turn in their license? Oh, there you go, I got it, June 30th, 2024, okay. I have no questions.
Done.
No. Motion to approve request number 25-01666.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve request number 25-01666. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The request is.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 11, request number 25-01691. Load.
Okay, good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of Commission, Keith Kiuchi for the applicant. This is, the waiver request is only to allow the application to be submitted. You're not approving the application. This is, a premises on Dillingham Boulevard, and I'm gonna go back. At one point, there was a cabaret license there under, a nightclub called Silla V. If you go farther back, maybe I'm dating myself, it used to be called Latin Villa, but it was a 4 o'clock. The operator of Silla V turned in the license my client at that time, which is the landlord, then applied for a hostess license. So what's on there now is a two AM hostess license. Mr. Lee used to operate Saigon Passion. He lost, he wasn't kicked out, but the property was redeveloped. And Johnny wanted to find someplace else to open. This is kind of, this is probably one of the few areas where you have no residential within 500 feet, not a single one. So across the street is Honolulu Community College. This is the back end of like Costco.
Yeah.
So this,
Toto.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it used to be neighbors with the old Dole cannery, you go back that far. So, you know, Mr. Lee was looking for someplace to relocate, and I told him I didn't think this commission would look kindly on any application for premises within 500 feet of residential. This was one of the few places we could find, so.
But really, the actual waiver there is really not that is because there's other two places that are within 500 feet of it, right?
There were.
And they're in
Yeah.
safekeeping, they're not.
Right,
open.
they're both in safekeeping, so Leslie's place was my client. And she's had that in safekeeping forever, but she's got no intention of reopening there.
Hmm.
Okay,
Just want to give out.
right, yeah, the other side is, used to be called Coyote Nights at one point, I think it's Pure Gentlemen's Club. So he's approached me about relocating that license because the landlord terminated the lease. So
Okay.
the likelihood of either one of
Opening up
those,
is club,
no,
pretty far apart.
right.
That's
So there have been buyers for Leslie's place, but the reason they've all backed off is the ground lease there ends in 2027.
Okay.
So,
Gotta get your money out.
yeah, so this is, again, this is kind of unusual because this property is fee simple. And that's kind of what makes it a little bit unusual. It's basically in a swath of Kamehameha Schools property,
Yeah.
because Kokea Center is Kamehameha Schools.
Right.
Okay.
So,
That was more my question, like about the other two.
yeah, they're kind of dead.
All right, I have no other questions.
How good.
Motion to approve request number 25-01691.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve request number 25-01691. Any nays or reservations? Seeing none, I also vote aye. The request is approved.
Yep, thank you.
Agenda item number.
Nephews are back in town, he's gonna have an excursion.
Well.
Hey, that place is gonna be open for-
Discussion of processes and procedures. And we are going to discuss how rules are made. Surviving.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm gonna go ahead and sit here instead of being the disembodied voice that's off camera. So I did not prepare a PowerPoint. This is a very kind of a text heavy information, so I decided to leave it in a PDF. So the request that was made was a description of the process and a proposed timeline for the current rule amendment process. So I decided to volunteer some additional information because it's fairly similar and instructive with respect to the two most recent efforts. So the first one has to do with the unlawful discrimination, what I call the 2024, I don't call it the shotgun anyway, the 2024 singleton. So the steps that are like listed in terms of that, the headings would be similar for every kind of rulemaking process that we would encounter. And because I couldn't resist, I went ahead and stuck some little notes in the bottom about typically we often have not done very much single rule only kind of efforts. It's only happened twice before this one. And then the number of, in the past 25 years, rulemaking was conducted in the following years and the rough topic. I guess you can guess why I know what those years are. So anyway, basically reading left to right, left to right, left to right. This is the kind of process we'll be following for the current rulemaking process. So the second one is took place span 2018 to 2022. And it is kind of amazing how far we got before this thing tanked. And we were interrupted by COVID and all kinds of stuff. But basically, you know, we even got through public hearing on this is a top to bottom kind of rulemaking effort. There was a lot of renumbering to comply with the Hawaii Administrative Rules Drafting Manual protocols. Those placeholders have already been established in L2 so that when a rule number changes because of our rulemaking process, the history of violations will carry forward without having to manually make that kind of notation. But essentially, what happened is that my rulemaking pig fell apart. The two commissioners left the commission, and then that left the remaining commissioners faced with doing decision-making on a process that they had not participated in from the start, so that it kind of just sort of fell by the wayside. So anyway, fortunately, with all that work that we did in 2018 to 2022, that means with the current process, we're not starting from scratch, but there have been some significant statutory changes made that are not reflected. This is going to take some work. There's going to be one-on-one with the licensing supervisor and myself to reflect the Act 76 amendments. We can tell that there are some audit tweaks that need to be made, and things that have not been addressed previously having to do with primary decision makers. So this was actually started, the initial preview was prepared for then Chair Buckley. So that's why you see February 24. And then moving forward, it did get put on hold because there were some intervening, I guess, events that prevented its further work. But we're ready now to pick it back up. So when you see like something and you see that those headings, left to right, left to right, left to right, are very similar to the other two, because that is the process that we follow statutorily. And I have put in red proposed rough dates for this process. So it's going to be, I'm going to try my best to conclude or get as far as I possibly can with this particular rule amendment process before the end of calendar 2025. And then there's all kind of like little notes here. We are going to handle the commissioner review and input a little differently for this one. And that is because our audience has changed somewhat, and in order to not sacrifice transparency, but to keep it manageable, because in previous efforts, I would put the draft rule packet before the commissioner, the commission at hearing, and it became part of the board packet, so to speak, and say, this is what we're going to go forward to stakeholder input. It was not considered a substitution for public hearing. I'm kind of concerned if we do that this time around, people are going to show up and give testimony, and it's not even, it's not quite ready. So I would propose that when we get far enough along, whoever the lucky, I'll meet two by two and just go through it, and I'll do the pre-digested table for you, so you know which ones are just housekeeping, renumbering, or substantive ones. Flag the ones that we're gonna have to do some work on, and go forward that way, and then move forward. This will not take the place of public hearing. It's just that my concern is that I've loaded to the board packet, just saying, this is what we're gonna go forward with, not expecting anything to happen. People are gonna show up and give testimony, and you'll be required to take it, but they will have their ample opportunity to do that through stakeholders and public hearing. So that's about the sum and substance of the process and proposed timeline. Happy to answer any questions. This is not a hard process. It is very tedious though, because it's multiple steps, all statutorily defined, and it just takes, you just have to go through the process step by step so that you can get court to sign off on approved as to form and legality.
I would like to direct the administration to put on our processes and procedures website that we had this discussion on
And we can post this time, which is part of our board packet now. I'm fine with that.
Okay, any questions? No. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Arkin.
Looking forward to it.
Calling agenda item number 13, administrative matters. Felix.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sal Patilos, Administrator of Honolulu Liquor Commission. Today, I'd like to change things up a little bit to give you more of an idea of the things that, not only the things that we do, but also the fact that we are now focusing on the backlog so much. And I'd just like to introduce some ideas to introduce some of the things that we've looked at in order to begin to measure the impact of the things that we're doing to the backlog. Doug, if you don't mind putting up the pending applications, not that one, the other one. So essentially, this is a table of how the average mean days that applications based on different types are in process of being investigated, as well as the median days. I think Commissioner Hong was really concerned about making sure that we had both the mean days, which is the arithmetic average, and the median days pending for all the applications that we have. They're both averages, but somehow provide a little bit of a different story. For example, when you talk about the mean day spending, for example, if we had like an 8-day application, a 3-day application, or a 1-day application, you'd essentially have 12 days divided by 3. Your mean average is 4, right? But in terms of the medians, you'd basically take off the 8-day, take off the 1, and your median is the 2. Is the 3? I'm sorry. And so it provides a little bit of a different picture. And so I went through. Doug O is creating a new some new dashboard metrics, and in doing so, he provided me with an Excel spreadsheet of pending applications. The good thing about that is that we know when it was submitted, and we can just adjust and we can calculate the time it's been in the system just by using a date diff function, and get a total number of days, which we can then get the mean day spending and get the median day spending based on the data set that we have. So I looked at all of the applications that are currently pending, or at least as of 2/1/2025. In LCIS 2, and there were 236 applications. The mean day spending was 281, and median day spending was 231. Curiosity kills the cat, and so I wanted to look more into what those really looked like in terms of the things that we are focusing on. Like, for example, new and transfer applications are 102, 230 days. Mean day spending 223.5 median days. So it's probably just shows you that somewhere as you took the high and the lows and got into the middle, that there were 2 cases that were in the middle there. And so when you look and then so you isolate new applications themselves, and you see the data for that, how long it takes, and transfers, and you see how that's a little bit less. And then you look at the temporaries themselves, essentially accompany the transfers and as well as new applications, and you see how the time it takes you to get those done. You'll notice at the bottom of the table, stock transfers, for example, add, remove, and modify. You see numbers that are significantly more than new and transfer applications. I think that's more reflective of the fact that I think at some point in time during COVID, it was decided that the agency would focus on new and transfer applications, trying to get those done, as opposed to focus on those requests. So I think the thinking being that when it comes to requests, you have people already have their licenses and can conduct business, and whereas the new and transfers, they don't have that opportunity yet. And so those are relatively high compared to new and transfer applications. Doug, if you don't mind going to the next one. But beyond the fact that, you know, there is a SPAC body, I also wanted to show you the productivity of the licensing session. I think a few weeks ago, Supervising Investigator Sato was here and talked about the fact that they had processed approximately 850 applications. And this is essentially a breakdown of the applications, requests, and permits that they processed. What I'd like you to know are the highlighted ones in the total. I know that we tried to throw as many resources as we could on to the issue, and you can see, for example, that some of the things, some of the applications, some of the permits were processed by enforcement licensing control investigators. And more importantly, I think we could look at the two
Mr.
blue.
Tilos?
Excuse me?
So the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, those are representative of individual investigators. Okay, so yeah, and that's why the total is, and in some of these, we see some amount of specialization and others kind of all across the board.
Yes. So I think the thing to note here is are the highlighted cells below D and H. Those two individuals are licensing technicians, and they were hired in late June 2024. So in a half a year, they've been able to do a lot of work and impact, for example, some requests. For example, when you look at add remove of principals, right? They accounted for 69% of the request process in that category. Likewise, in stock transfers, albeit it's a lot smaller number, 60% of those. Permanent reductions, 30%. Again, it's just the fact that they are now able, someone is now tasked with looking at those specific things, they're able to address those. Hopefully, as we go through the year, the data sets that I'm looking at, probably go look and see how those have changed from month to month to month, and give you an idea of how things are going. Similarly, when it comes to pending applications, because Doug will be providing me with data on a monthly basis, then we can see whether or not those average numbers are dropping. Which, if they are dropping, that suggests that that we are removing the earliest applications out of the queue, and I think that it's a good proxy for seeing whether or not we are addressing the back. And I know Commissioner Hollinger and Commissioner Sakamoto, you are both working on a PIG. If you'd like me to provide these to you in advance of the meeting, I'd be happy to do that.
I guess two other data points I think that would be good on the transfer and on the new is they're either completed or withdrawn, right? So there's that aspect of it. And when they come to a final disposition, what was the average number of days for that activity?
Yeah, I think I can give you something about completed and withdrawn. The difficulty is when you look at LCIS, there are some data limitations. There are some what I would consider milestones that are not captured. But I will do my best, with some data that we have to try to provide you with, at the very least with completed.
Yeah, I guess the reason for my question, right, is that, removing the withdrawn is important because that would skew the data. And it's good for us to see how many people are withdrawing their applications relative to being completed. But on the completed, if somebody asks me the question, how long does it take to get a liquor license? The average number of days for completed would be my answer, right? Or do you think there's a different answer we should use?
No, I think, from my perspective, that would be the answer. That said, like I said, there are data limitations in what we have. I don't think it was ever anticipated that we'd be dealing with a backlog, and that question will become really important.
Okay.
I think that's the answer. My 2 cents is, I think that's the answer for today. I think where we want to get to is to be able to have a response better tied to like a service level of agreement to each particular type of license. Some I'm aware that take longer because of the complexity of the process, and some are a little easier because there's less steps. And for us to understand that better and to be able to convey what that typically would be, a target that we would shoot to. I know we're a little ways off from that, and I'm not getting ahead of myself, but that's maybe something I'm thinking that we could get to at some point.
Yeah, I think there's going to be. I think in terms of getting the milestones that we want to be generated by the system, I think that's a possibility, and it's something that we may be able to squeeze into the data migration.
It's like a pipeline.
Well, once that's all said and done, but at this point, I think the best data that we can give you are these. There's a possibility as well of giving you data as to how long it took to process. For example, how long it took for an application to be, how long it took between the assignment of an application to an investigator to when that report was ready. That can be done, but that's a different data set. So that let's look at.
But I mean,
But I would like, as much as possible, I would like to use one data set and one source of truth, as opposed to trying to bounce between the two.
Important stat to learn early on would be understanding what % of the applications coming in are completed that could be worked on immediately. And I'm guessing that percentage is pretty low, that the applications are incomplete, missing, incorrect.
I also think one of the things we might want to have is some kind of, not only this data, but some type of data where how many days there is in between when an application is turned in and when it's actually complete enough to be assigned to someone to start the work on, which is kind of what you're saying, that there's gotta, because when we're looking at this now, we're looking at when it got here, not when it was actually assigned. You added those days too. We're adding these days too that really are not privy in a sense of us figuring out the streamline part, because that's added to the days it takes to do it.
Right. So there's like this mystery zone of,
Yes.
is it because we're too busy, we can't get to it yet, so it's not assigned?
Yeah.
Or what I suspect is more likely it's got issues,
Yeah.
so it can't be assigned because
Needs
it's not ready to
something,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, but if we
Right.
can improve that ratio of completed apps, like the holy grail of that, I have to believe that could speed the
Yeah, and
process.
there's something we're trying to address that issue now, in the sense that if and when somebody comes in, and there are things that are patently wrong with the application, we hand it back over and we don't take it. So we're beginning that process now. Additionally, in terms of withdrawals, I think in speaking with well, there are applications that are withdrawn by the applicants themselves. And we're looking at applications that have yet to be assigned, and seeing whether or not those have lain fallow, so to speak, and going through the process of trying to get those withdrawn. We write letters to the applicants, say, hey, it's been a while since we've heard from you. Can you submit within 10 days? And And, you know, and some of them have responded and some of them not. And so we are trying to remove those as well. Additionally, as I've looked at the data, I've seen some really old applications or requests that have sat there. And in my conversations with the two licensed techs, they are frustrated by the fact that it's often difficult to get information or documents from the applicant.
That's another thing.
So,
At certain points,
so we're
like-
thinking about a way to force the issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we're in discussions about how we can do that.
Yeah.
Because
We could just issue a notice of.
we also have to be wary about the fact that because something is withdrawn, that has some consequences as well. So.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm glad that we got some of these numbers out, and we always assume that new is taking longer than transfer, and we can see from that, but this is actually true with real data.
Just by the process itself,
Right.
it's intuitive that it would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's more to uncover under the hood against these numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers tend to show some things, and even as you look at, right, the clustering of certain applications and stuff like that. Big, you know, it kind of begs the question whether, you know, a slavish adherence to first in, first out is necessary, or do we say, hey, the impact of this is huge. I don't want it to be a question of math either, but
Yeah.
I think it's something.
Sure. Appreciate the sharing the info. Not the questions.
Yes, right.
Comment. I think the numbers are good, they're interesting, but it's kind of like the tip of the iceberg yet. Is there like an actual intake process? Meaning that would party it be not assigned.
Right.
That intake process can be.
There's a
measured
big
and-
process and applications are, so. If there's nothing patently wrong with it and the front desk, now, when the front desk timestamps it, right? It goes to myself to assign to licensing looks at if there are issues. Then there are issues that need to be resolved by the applicant before the application is eventually signed. That'll, whatever's required will come back to the desk, will go back to Daniel for review. And if everything's copacetic there, it comes to me for approval and finally back to Daniel for assignment. I know it sounds convoluted.
That process is multi-step. right?
Yeah, this one step.
And it can take anywhere from weeks to months.
That's one, the last data that I saw, it's not really that long at that initial stage. It's more a question of what happened because of the backpack, what happens after it's assigned.
But that is not necessarily included in the data spreadsheet that we saw.
When we talk about submission, it's when we timestamp it at the front desk. And so that includes whatever time it takes to go through that process. So when it's pending, timestamp to the day that when I get the spreadsheet and set a date for it, like if it's, you know, for me, since I've started with the first of the month, and it'll become the first of the next month, first of the next month, and we'll see that data will include that time period that goes through initial review. Not investigating, but just initial review.
I guess going back to Chair's statement, like people asking, well, how long is it gonna take? For me, it's kind of a loaded question, so I'm really careful that depends on what you're submitting for.
Right,
When you submit it.
it is that. Partially, you know, some things take longer because of the complexity of the cases. Sometimes the complexity is driven by the fact that there are multiple things that go on with the same application.
Talking to the council members, they're not fully aware of the complexities and the challenges faced by licensing as well as with the intake.
Yeah, I
process.
think it's not just a question of some of the delays are the result of, as you can tell, because of some of the frustration told to me is the result of applicants unable to provide documents or information in a very timely manner. You know, part of it as well is the fact that we are understaffed. We are under-resourced. There's the under-resourced, no doubt about it. The fact that we have 2 licensing techs to take on that are focusing on requests that resulted in a lot of older ones getting a lot of older cases being moving through the process and being approved. And so you know, that's one of the things that we do. But also from my perspective, I need to see how we're doing, at least in terms of when you look at whether or not we are in terms of our efficiency and productivity, it becomes a question of numbers, right? How are we doing? And so I think setting a baseline and a standard from which we can begin to look at something, albeit at this point, just like more of a proxy than anything else, and see how we're impacting that backlog, at least in terms of the number of days that applicants are pending in the system. I think that's an important thing. Later on, when after data migration, maybe we can have more of those milestones where it's become really easy to answer your question. How long did it take from X to Y? And we can decide what those milestones are, and having those milestones, and we can just do what's necessary in terms of the calculations to get the data, to address the issues that we want to address, or to look at the issues that we want to look at.
Okay. Any more questions? Do you have anything else you wanted to present?
I think for now, that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Finally, agenda item number 14, announcements.